we're at the top of the roller coaster and things are going well. Well, I'm worthy there. And if I'm down in some valley, well, guess what? I'm worthy there too.
Hello, welcome to the InitiativeOne podcast series. I'm Regina Woods, the Director of Operations and a Transformation Leader here at InitiativeOne. And I have the privilege of having one of my colleagues, Nick Nighbor, in the hot seat today. Usually he's the one that records these podcasts, and I have the honor of getting to interview Nick today. So what a thrill to be able to spend our time together learning more about Nick, since so many of you have already tuned into our podcast series. Hi, Nick. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Regina.
How does it feel to be in that seat?
Just as comfortable.
Good. Well, we're going to have some fun today letting our InitiativeOne leadership community learn a little bit more about you.
Yeah.
And so thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me on the show.
So the question you usually kick off with is, what brought you to InitiativeOne? So I'm going to ask that of you, Nick. Thinking about all the many moons you've been on the earth here, how did you end up here with us?
Yes. So I'm rather new to InitiativeOne, less than a year. In terms of working for InitiativeOne, I'm new to InitiativeOne, but knowledge of the company InitiativeOne, I'm not new to them. Not new to Dr. Fred or Tracy. I've known them for probably about 7 or 8 years, and I've been attending the leadership think tanks for years. I'm naturally a learner, so I would always plug in, like years ago, going to the think tank and taking notes and inviting people that I know that would find value in it. So. Dr. Fred and Tracy they've known me at an arm's length for quite some time, but just this last June of 2022, I came on board working with the team. So what got me here was, I'll go back a few years. You said moons, right? Just out of high school, I had served in the U.S. Army for 8 years, and once I got out of the military, I went into the financial services industry. So I spent about 10 years in banking and in insurance. And for the last several years, I've been working with different owners, small to medium-sized businesses, helping them in a couple different aspects. What really drew me to InitiativeOne was, I know that it's a leadership cultural transformation company. And because I've not always been into learning and growing, but for the last 10 years, I could say that I've been on my own journey, and the information that's been shared for the last several years has really spoke to me. And now I can walk into the building and say, like, wow, I get to represent InitiativeOne, and I get to make a difference with people, and that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome.
Well, we're happy to have you here.
Yes.
So you have been attending the InitiativeOne think tanks, which is our complimentary gift to the leadership community, for quite some time, even before you formally come aboard here. So what brought you here to those?
What brought me here? Well, naturally, knowing that I'm just always looking for new information that I can apply to my life. That was any learning organization that's going to share information with the public. I feel like I'm interested whether it comes to leadership or sales or those two different areas. If I can take 1 or 2 nuggets each month, then I can apply that in my life and get better.
So what are some of the nuggets, because you've had a history with InitiativeOne for quite some time. So what are some of the nuggets that really stand out to you?
I would say, and this is probably more recently, in the last 6 to 12 months, I've been in other sales roles in the past where it's been a very like a very driven culture, where it's like, all right, you have to make the phone calls, you have to get the sale, just drive, like go. And when I say that, it's I use the word driven, and I'm using that in like a negative sense, meaning like it's all about me, meaning like it doesn't matter what all the people around me are receiving. It's what's in it for Nick. That's, for a long time, that's what it was. It was, all right, like if it benefits Nick, we'll do it. And one of the things that I've been learning, one of my values is meaningful work. If it's going to make a difference, if it's going to make an impact, what's brought me to Initiative One, simply stated, like, Initiative One does meaningful work. It really does. But that learning lesson, that transition from that very driven person that would just ostracize others, if they weren't interested in what I was interested in, then I would just push them away. There's been a transition where now the relationship is more important. The relationship is so important, and I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know. I knew how to sell a widget, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how to build a relationship.
Yeah.
So this shift, I guess you could say, it's a shift from being selfish to how can we help other people?
Yeah.
And you can only, I feel like you can only truly help people if you make it about them, and that begins with relationships. So the people on our team here at Initiative One, I would say we're all mission driven. We all want to make an impact, but that's still like a daily battle in terms of, taking care of myself first. Does that make sense, Regina?
It does, and I appreciate you sharing that, because I believe so much of our Western culture is in that driven mode where we need to produce, where it's about us. And that's not really coming from a place of authenticity. So I appreciate your vulnerability, which we talked about this morning in our think tank, about vulnerability and humility,
right,
being a really important leadership quality. So I appreciate you willing to share that, because so many people can identify with driven. A former version of me, I was driven too.
Okay.
I was doing things for all the external validation outside of me, versus really what in one of our leadership models that we teach is, there's a difference between driven and settled and deliberate, being on purpose, being intentional. So it sounds like, as you leaned into yourself more, you were able to really tap into the true why you're so drawn to leadership. It's because of the people. It's not because of me.
I'm Fred Johnson. I'm the founder and the CEO here at Initiative One. We've just ended another think tank that was attended by close to 1,000 people from across the country, and what a great time that we had. I'm sharing that because in our next think tank next month, we want you to be a part of that. We want you to experience the energy, the wisdom that our folks are sharing with each other, and the growth that is taking place in their own lives. We want you to participate in that as well. Next month, one of my most special subjects we're going to be talking about, near and dear to my heart. It's called the Universal Law of Attraction. And that as you're growing, you will begin to attract people to you who are not only growing, they have grown beyond you, and they want you to come with them. We're going to learn about how that happens in our lives, how to be a catalyst for the law of attraction for others, and how that can begin to unleash your impact and your potential as a leader. So join us next month as we talk about leadership and the universal law of attraction, and how that can change the destiny of your entire leadership journey. We'll see you next month. Thank you.
So you've had a chance now to experience our leadership transformation process from a participant standpoint.
Yep.
So what would you say in terms of your own growth? Because we're always continuing to learn and grow and develop and have new insights. And I don't think learning is a straight line or a straight line this way. It's a spiral, and we're always coming back to deeper understandings, deeper appreciation of things that we might have thought we learned or overcame, for example. So what has been your learning and growth during that leadership transformation process? One
of the areas that has really impacted me is the thought process of the 2.7 and the 8.0. And I would say for many years, Regina, for many years, I would attach my worth to a promotion or to some material object. And if I had gotten that thing, then I was worthy. Or if I had not gotten that thing, then I'm unworthy, right? And it's still, just like Dr. Fred had said this morning, it's still a daily. It's still a daily battle, but I'm stronger in the thought process or belief of, what, it doesn't matter what happens, I'm still enough. Like if I'm going through, we're all going through a roller coaster of life. Sometimes we're at the top of the roller coaster and things are going well. Well, I'm worthy there. And if I'm down in some valley, well, guess what? I'm worthy there too. So I feel like I'm like newer to that, but the video by Dr. Fred, the TED Talk, the I'm Enough.
Yes.
I've watched that so many times because it speaks to me.
Right.
And part of that goes to my my origin story, like with my brother and sister and having to prove myself. Like that's where that comes from.
Right.
So it's not just, hey, for this last year, like this was happening, like this is deep.
Right.
And for years and years and years, I've tried to earn that value.
Right.
And that's the wrong question. It's the wrong question. So that would be one. There's several, but that's probably a key takeaway that I've gotten.
Right. We all have origin stories, and we all can identify with feeling like a 2.7. I mean, you were downstairs, but this wonderful production crew here from Gillespie, they saw me kind of have a little meltdown before this. Like, I have to interview Nick for the podcast, right? So they saw my 2.7 moment, which came out as some kind of funny energy. But we all have those moments where we question our worth, where we don't feel enough. So you really speak of the heart of our leadership transformation process in terms of it's a very inward journey.
Yes.
And we need some courage to be able to go there. And you say it's new to you, and I think it's new to all of us every day because, all of a sudden we don't wake up feeling like an 8. And even if we do wake up feeling like an 8, something's gonna make us question our worth. So it is that roller coaster, even in terms of our own relationship with ourselves. So I appreciate being able to be on this journey with you.
Yes, it's been a blast working with you, Regina. It really has. It really has.
Likewise. I appreciate laughing with you. So, Nick, if you could turn back time, and I believe everything happens for a reason. I believe in divine timing, and everything is for our growth. Sometimes we think it's against us, but it's really for our growth.
Yeah.
So if you could turn back time, what would you tell a former version of yourself?
I would go back to really what I just said, Regina. You're enough. You're enough. You're making an impact on other people, and you're making a difference. And knowing that you're enough, that's enough. knowing that you're enough is enough.
What helped you make that mindset shift? Because some of the stuff that we talk about in our leadership process here is that, we often started trying to change our behaviors to get different results in life. And, you spoke of that hustle, that driven, where that doesn't work for us at some point. Things work for us at some point, and then they stop working for us. So we often start as humans at, I'm going to do something differently to try to get different results.
Yeah.
But under that, and I think this is the differentiating factor between our personal power, and living disempowered. Under that is our mindset. And we talk so much at Initiative One about our mindset. That mindset of I'm enough actually is what changes our behavior and gives us different results. So, thinking about your former self, and, you would tell yourself you're enough. What helped you start making that mindset shift and truly believing that?
So I'm going to touch a little bit on the hustle life, the I will outwork everyone. Like that was it. Like I took pride. I will outwork you all day long. Like that was, and I took so much pride in that. And that was so transactional. That was just a transactional way to look at life. That was not transformational. It was transactional. When I was acting or living that way, like I did it so much that I probably didn't really have any friends. Like I honestly ostracized people from my life. Then like I started to realize that. And I started to get some friends actually people that I could like lean on and actually have a conversation with. So it was almost like a stair step. So like there was a point where like I like really had like no friends, then a couple friends, and then like now today, it's I'm so blessed with rich friendships. But your question is what helped with that?
Yeah, what helped you transition to really believing that you're enough?
One thing, a big part of credit goes to my wife for just loving me through that. She didn't try to correct me or coerce me or fix me. I think she just loved me.
And I think when we have that's so powerful. When we have someone that just loves us exactly as we are, we often give ourselves permission to really step into our authentic self and set down our masks and set down all that armor that so much of us have learned to carry around. And I think that's when we're in that driven mode, achieve success. My worth is based on the validation outside of me that we're living inauthentically. And it's that hustle that you speak of. So it's a precious gift to be able to have someone like your wife around you. So what have you seen so you said that, you now have some authentic friendships in your life. What have you seen? Because when we're able to really believe we're innate, warts and all, that's when we can start connecting. We of course connected with ourselves different to be able to really believe that and internalize it, but that creates an ability to connect with other people differently. And what changes, what impact has that made on people in your world, Nick? Nick just showing up as Nick.
So I was bankrupt in relationships for a long time. And then there was a point that I needed to be fed, and I was starting to get fed with those relationships. Now I'm fed in an amazing way, and that allows me to feed others, I guess you could say, maybe pour into others.
Yes.
Because I am being fed with those relationships. I'm able to show up more selflessly and not just be what do I need? Like I could truly talk to you on a Monday morning and say, hey, how are you doing? And like not say it, how are you doing? Like, no. how are you doing? Because like those that asking it that second time, that's the exception. It's how are you doing? I'm good. Good. How's the weekend? Good. It's all surface level, and that will always happen, but that shouldn't be the rule. The eye contact question, how are you doing? That should be the rule.
And I appreciate that, because you do that in the morning to me. When I'm in my driven mode of I have 15 things to do, and I kind of half give you a glance over my computer, you're like, no, Regina, how are you? So I appreciate that, because that's one of the most important leadership questions you can ask someone and truly mean it. How are you? Because that's what fuels that connection between people, and that's really what leadership is about. We can't have influence. We don't have influence when we're not truly connecting with others.
Correct, and people feel it.
Yeah, and that starts with connecting with ourselves. So that's that shift from that 2.7, belief of I'm not enough and have to hustle for approval, to I am enough. And when we feel that, we connect with others differently. So I appreciate you bringing that to our team, Nick.
Thank you.
So you have your daughter watching us, right now, along with the production crew here, who, she's a senior in high school and working to decide what her next step is. Being able to live that life intentionally and follow her purpose. So. As a dad, we have lots of dads and moms and aunts and uncles watching the podcast. So what's your leadership insight? What would you like to say to the young people who are on this journey? Because you and me, I think, and we've spoken before, we figured this out a little later in life, that shift from 2.7 to 8. So what would you say to the younger people?
One of the things, so if I'm going to give advice, usually it goes to myself. Like when I say it out loud, it's to me.
Yeah.
So if I'm saying this out loud and you are all receiving this, you're going to receive this with Nick receiving it first. I think one of the greatest things that we can do as parents is build confidence in our children. I didn't grow up, nor did you grow up, with all these social media apps and these platforms. And when we got done with school at 3 or 4, whatever it was, like we went home like the day was done. But for them, when school gets done, the day's still going because their phone is on them. So I think the greatest thing that anyone that's leading children is to just, how can we pour into them and help them believe more in themselves? This is the same conversation, the 8.0. I want them to feel like an 8.0. And there are these external pressures that you and I didn't experience growing up that they are. So there's more pressure. There's more pressure for them to go 2.7 because they go online and instantly compare themselves to everyone's highlights. They compare their lowlights to everyone's highlights, and it's very destructive. So me as a parent, I'm working on how can I encourage my kids and build more belief into them.
Imagine how humanity will be different if we're all walking around really knowing that we're 2.8s. Or 2.8s. 8.0 is, don't be a 2.8. You can tell how well I did in math. If everyone just walks around like an 8.0 and just truly loves themselves in that way, I think humanity is going to do okay. So
I think so too.
Yeah, that's a pretty strong message for those of us parenting and nurturing future generations coming up. So thank you for that. So just to wrap this up, what do you want people to know about the podcast series, since usually you're in the seat asking the questions?
So the podcast series, so we as a company, we drop a new episode every week, and we talk about different topics. You're interviewing me, so we've interviewed different teammates, team members on the InitiativeOne team, but we bring in other leaders and people that we've worked with to get their thoughts and hear their story, as well as seeing how the InitiativeOne information has impacted them. I mean, because that's really, at the end of the day, who are we, who can we help, and who can we impact? Like, that's truly, it's very easy for that to be thrown up on a wall, impact. But when I walk into the office and you walk into the office, that's really, that's the question we ask ourselves is, was I on purpose, and did I make an impact today?
Yes.
And the podcast is simply just a tool to help more people know that that's the mission that we're on.
So here's a math question for you. About how many podcasts are there produced right now in this leadership series?
So far, just under 40.
Okay, good. All right. So there's lots of opportunities. People are driving back and forth to work and
Yes.
to tune in. Great. Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you for spending your time helping us get to know you a little bit better.
Thank you for the questions.
Yeah, great. Thank you for joining this podcast. And if you enjoyed it, if you think someone in your life would benefit from it, hit like, forward it to them. We love to continue expanding our leadership community. We referenced our think tank. That is a complimentary gift to anybody. So you can log into our website and sign up for our think tanks. They're once a month on Friday mornings. And we have lots of great leadership lessons and conversations on those mornings. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again.